Welcome to episode 2 of the Good for Nothing podcast. Today I am joined by a very good friend of mine, one of my bestest pals, Ben, and we talk about the future of the DC universe. Peter Safran and James Gunn announced the first few projects in their first chapter of the DC universe, and it's really exciting stuff. So thank you for listening, and without further ado, here's the episode. I'm going to list off a few of the DC movies they announced, and we'll just go along and we'll say how we feel about it and stuff. But James Gunn has confirmed that the first chapter of the DC universe is called Gods and Monsters, which is pretty cool that he's naming the chapters. But apparently the first movie that is set to start the DC universe is Superman Legacy. How do you feel about that title? I have some thoughts.
It's an interesting title because it almost implies that there's more, history to be explored. Even though it's a brand new, Superman. This sounds like a title sequel, or, it sounds something like Batman Beyond. Except if, it was just about, a regular Batman story and not, Terry McGinnis, it sounds, I don't know. What are, the implications of, Superman Legacy?
Yeah, it's odd because he obviously clarified that this is going to be early days Superman. So Superman Legacy just gives the vibe that it's going to be, because jumping ahead a little bit, the Batman movie seems to be taking place a lot later in life, and then the Superman is going to be early on, but it's called, I don't know, the title is misleading, like you said. It's like Batman Beyond, but maybe it's that because we'll see Superboy or something like that, and that's kind of Clark's legacy or something but again, it's early on in his career, so it's kind of confusing. I'm not completely sure.
So when James Gunn did say that this was going to start early in his career, he didn't mean year one, Man of Steel. He meant a few years in. So, and again, not to jump ahead or anything, but Supergirl is a project that's listed on there as well. So It could be exploring her introduction as well before they get to her movie. But I'm going to expect that they are going to explore Kryptonian culture and learn more about Krypton in ways that we haven't seen before, maybe.
Yeah, I hope it's not the same thing that Man of Steel kind of did, though, where the first 30 minutes is all Krypton and I don't give a shit about it. But yeah, I'd like to see some cool stuff, how they did in the Donner films with the Fortress of Solitude. Oh yeah, you know what? We didn't even have a Fortress of Solitude in the past DCEU.
We kind of did. We did.
It was a ship.
It was in a spaceship. It was a portable fortress.
Yeah, but I want
and
the
it's
crystals.
Not all crystal. Yeah, it's all Zack Snyder-y of all the metal and the stuff in it. It looked cool. I liked it, but if we get a more traditional one, that could look really, really cinematic. It's funny because James Gunn laid out a description for each project, a very short summary description. For the Batman one, he was talking about, we'll get to that part later. But he was kind of giving more of a very descriptive synopsis for each one. But this one, he was kind of he either glanced over it and I forgot what he said, or he didn't really say anything at all.
So I have a quote from Peter Safran, not James Gunn, because James Gunn didn't say much on it, but Peter Safran said, "It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing." He said, "He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks of kindness and is old-fashioned."
Oh, they brought back the American way.
Yeah, a lot of people were upset with that. So they're already off to a bad start. He mentioned America.
Oh no. That's a topic that we're not going to get into. But
no, we don't have to get.
Yeah, we don't have to get into. No. I don't. I can go both ways with the saying what's the other one, the human way, or the way of
Yeah, they recently changed it to something that's just
that's a little bit more generic. Yeah, but I mean the old one gives a more of classic Superman kind of vibe, which is something that DC has been steering away from for a while. So that could be a good sign that it's gonna steer more towards like the classic kind of Donner direction. But it's interesting that
Yeah.
in the quote, he did mention the Kryptonian heritage thing that I was kind of speculating about. But yeah, no, we'll see. Who is your ideal Superman casting right now?
Oh my God, it's so hard because I really don't see anyone who's like in the age range they're looking for that reminds me of Superman in the slightest. And everyone is fan casting that Euphoria guy, and I just don't see it. He gives off like New 52 Superman vibes, which is not what you want
I know what
for
you mean.
this.
He does actually quite look like the New 52 Superman. Now that you say it.
Yeah, he's just a dickhead. Like he just looks like a douche.
Damn.
It's not great. But outside of that, there's like this one British actor people keep bringing up. I don't know his name.
Is he like was he from that like Hollywood show from Netflix?
It might have been. He's very generic looking. Like he looks like any other guy. Like it's
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, like it's funny. I wonder who they're going to cast for a lot of these characters because honestly, like I don't really know. Like I'm someone that's like that works in film and has this very strong interest in film and tries to keep up with a lot of stuff. I can't really think of any like popular younger actors that they can kind of cast in these roles. I mean, like if you cast them in like the spirit that you did Pattinson, where you chose an actor that not many people would have thought of, and you're choosing him based off talent, that could be a great way to do it. But I also think probably just casting unknowns because at this point you're not trying to shove the star power in. You're trying to focus on the characters themselves. Almost like how like Chris Evans was up and coming. Like he was in a bunch of stuff before Captain America, and same with RDJ. But like they kind of became those characters when they got casted. Like that's like everyone knows them as, oh yeah, that's Iron Man. Oh yeah, that's Captain America. And
yeah, it's weird now because looking at the MCU, like all of these are giant actors. But like before Thor, Chris Hemsworth was in like some pretty shitty movies. Nobody cared about him, and like Chris Evans was in like not another teen movie, and he did Sunshine, which was great, but he wasn't like a big name yet. And
RDJ was the biggest name that they had. Like
and he was like going through
comeback.
he was going through all the controversies too. So it's like they rebooted some careers and started others, and I think that's what DC kind of has to do. They have to. A lot of these castings are gonna be no names.
Yeah,
and that's just. I like that. I prefer that because, again, there's not many actors out there I could see in these roles.
I
currently.
prefer that. So then you can choose someone not only based on talent, but also how they look as well. Because the other thing with, like, a lot of these celebrities, they might be very talented and all that. You know, there's a reason why they are in the position they are. But I just don't see it with, like, a lot of names that are being tossed around with, like, Superman or, like, Batman or something like that. Like, it's just... Again, it's because it's a iconic fictional character. It's almost like recasting Luke Skywalker, you know? Like it has to be like
it's hard.
like you had Mark Hamill, and to recast someone to emulate Mark Hamill, then that's like ridiculously hard. That's like one of the hardest things to do ever. So I mean, whatever they do, like even if it's someone that like that's hard for a lot of people to swallow, I'm going to be optimistic about it just because like they seem to be off to a great start and what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've kind of just learned not to judge castings off the first like picture or whatever because sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. They strike.
Like, there's always makeup and wigs and all that fun stuff and Hollywood steroids they can shove into people.
Yeah, and it's like makeup's even getting better with like Colin Farrell not looking anything like the Penguin, and then they made him look like the Penguin. Like, it's fine.
It's
Do
crazy
whatever.
how many people didn't know that was Colin Farrell in the movie until they saw like the credits. They were like,
I know,
what?
it's nuts. It's insane makeup. But
Yeah.
okay, also this list isn't in order. This is just the list, the order I have. But the second movie they announced is The Brave and the Bold, which is, I guess it doesn't even have Batman in the title, but it's a Batman and Robin movie, first one since Batman and Robin, and that's pretty exciting. But the Robin they chose is Damian, so that kind of suggests that this is far into Batman's career. So what do you think about that? Like, how do you think they're gonna? Because the Superman's not just starting out. I assume he's gonna be like 4 or 5 years in. But if Batman has had like 4 Robins, he's probably like 10 years in, maybe even more. So how do you feel they're gonna balance that?
You know, Like, when James Gunn made the video and he talked about Damian being, like, the Robin in the film, he also did mention, like, that would also introduce, like, the Bat family and things like that, almost implying that there is, like, a Nightwing and there is maybe, like, a Red Hood or something roaming around. But if you look at, like, team dynamics and Batman and Superman, like, where they are at their points in their lives, first of all, it's totally different from what we had before, because Superman was in, like, year 1 or year 2 when the Ben Affleck Batman was, like, in his 50s in the universe.
Yeah, that's way worse.
And he was, like, Dark Knight Returns, basically, and, you know. So I think, so this Batman seems to be in, like, the late 30s, early 40s range, like, he's the dad Batman, which is going to be cool to see. Never seen that before. So, yeah, it just, again, it's so hard to speculate what's going to happen because there's just a lot of details, vital details that we just don't know about. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how they tackle Damian. I wonder if they're really going to try to make him, like, annoying at first, just like how he kind of pissed off the comic book readers at the time, and then people slowly kind of grew on him, or he grew on the readers.
Yeah, I have another quote from Gunn about this movie, who said, "The brave and the bold will introduce the Bat family," so that's suggesting everyone. And the first among them is Robin. And that's another thing I want to touch on in a second. But this version of Robin is Damian Wayne. Gunn described him as our favorite Robin, a little son of a bitch, an assassin, and a murderer. So he's going to be, I assume if they're saying that, he's going to be pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's going to be like movie. 1-to-1 to like the comic one. Because even in like, even if you're someone that doesn't read comics and you watch like the Son of Batman movie, yeah, he didn't really kill many people in that. He killed like maybe 1 or 2 guys. He sliced out Deathstroke's eye, which was like, I don't know why you made that, like, I don't know why that was like, I don't know, whatever. That's in that universe. I don't like that. But
he messes up Dick pretty bad in that movie as well.
He does, but at least Dick ties him up in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but in this one, I'm assuming like his arc is gonna be learning not to chop off people's heads by the end of the movie.
Yeah, most likely.
It's gonna be a very fun dynamic. Yeah, it's just I just wonder what age they're actually gonna make Damian, whether they'll actually make him the 13-year-old, or, as I mean, like I could see Gunn doing that, or whoever's working on the Batman movie making Damian like the 13-year-old. But I've seen some people play around with like, oh, he's older, so he's not like a total squeaker. But I almost think like it's better if you lean into that. If you lean into the fact that he's a squeaker and he's a total like rebel against Batman.
Yeah, I don't want to see if the Bat family already exists, that means we'll see older ones, and I would like to see at like max, I could see Damian being like 15, and that would be fine because that's a little
15
older
is not a bad
and more
age,
mature.
Yeah,
but like if they lean into 13-year-old Damian, I think that would be really cool for that dynamic. And then
we've also never seen like a child Robin on screen too. That's actually like fighting criminals.
Like we got Chris O'Donnell, and he was 30 years old already.
Was he 30?
Like, I feel he looks 30. If he wasn't, I feel bad. But
yeah, no, I think he had to have been in his 20s. There's no way.
Yeah,
I would believe it if he was in his 30s. I mean, like whatever, but yeah,
it's the buzz cut. It makes him look older.
Yeah,
but
it's the buzz cut. Yeah.
Another thing is that Peter Safran also said that, like, he confirmed that there will be other Bat family members in this movie. Mm-hmm. So I'm just automatically assuming, because Dick Grayson has like his ties to Damian in the comics, I assume he's going to be in that. There's no confirmation. But what Bat family members do you want to see? Who do you think they'll use? You know, that type of stuff.
Nightwing, 100%. I'm very curious to see if they're going to use Red Hood right away or not. Just because there's, like, you've never had that character done properly on screen before. Well, I mean, he was never done on screen before. What am I saying? Like, you had him in Titans. Well, Titans is its own thing. They can choose to cut corners as much as they want. But in, like, the closest thing we've had to that was with the old DCEU, and the dead Robin wasn't even Jason. It was Dick Grayson, apparently.
Oh, man.
Yeah, not digging up an old wound there. But, so, like, it's something that you can easily. I don't know. I'm just thinking about how, like, if in the movie we're partway through the movie and like Nightwing and Red Hood show up, maybe Red Robin as well, and they're like, you would have to almost explain their backstories like Spider-Verse. Like if you wanted to, like you give like the very short summary, like Spark Notes things of what happened, and then you just roll with it and you see like this big family just fighting crime. But
Yeah, I think a cool way they actually did it in the animated movie, I think, but you could have if this movie has Bruce just discovering Damien or Damien's like first time in the Batcave, you could do that thing where Alfred is telling Damien about Dick while he looks at his costume, and you could just do like a flashback or something like that.
yeah, that'll be
And that would be
awesome.
an easy way, because I feel like Nightwing, if anyone, is going to be like the heaviest hitter in
Oh yeah,
Bat Family
no,
member
like
in the
he
movie.
kind of like needs to. He was like the first one who kind of set the bar for everyone else to kind of follow, and what follows after are people that kind of go outside of like the Robin template in their own different ways.
Yeah, and I wonder if I wonder if Red Hood will already be a member of the Bat Family, or if they'll have the dead Robin, and then they'll explore the Under the Red Hood story later on. Like I'm curious if they'll actually do that, or if they'll just have him be a vigilante already.
Well, like
I'm
like
not
that
sure.
scene in like Hush where like they do like the scene with like Clayface where he pretends to be like Jason and all that. I almost
Hmm.
wonder like if they're gonna do something like that where they kind of gloss over the dead Robin, because how Damien gets his costume in the comics at least is him like using the Jason Todd suit and customizing it. Like he demorally I don't know he defaces the Robin memorial or something like that. At least that's what I
Hmm.
remember. So if you are gonna do it like that, which they obviously don't have to, he could just like grab Dick's old costume or just make a whole new one or whatever. It's something that they're gonna have to touch upon unless they just don't want to do it for that movie and they want to save that for another movie or something.
Hmm.
I think there's a really there's such a strong potential here for like an ongoing theme of these new Batman movies, because this is just something that I've been wanting to see for a while. It's like this theme of family, because Batman starts out fighting crime because of his parents that were shot in the alleyway, and he witnessed all that. And he's Batman to, to prevent something like that from ever happening again to anyone. And then he sees that almost the same scenario happen to Dick, so he takes Dick in, and then he takes Jason off the street, and then they develop like, even though like a lot of them have like different views on things, like Jason kills people sometimes, or sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah.
And Dick thinks that Bruce kind of goes too far in some places. And then you have Tim, who kind of follows Bruce like almost to the T, but he kind of like he starts kind of like he has like he's smart, like he kind of like starts questioning some things along the way and kind of starts doing his own thing too. And then you have Damien, who starts off as a killer. He was trained to be an assassin from birth, and then you have to see him kind of like learn some type of balance.
Hmm.
So I think that's something really cool that they can do. And then of course you got Barb and you got Orphan and the rest of the Bat family too. But we'll see if they actually do those. I think they just got to focus on bringing in the Robins, because that's like it's such a key part to the Batman mythos that they've been like ignoring for the last few interpretations.
It's nuts how
Yeah.
like family is the entire point of most Batman comics.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Every popular Batman arc at one point has like Nightwing and everyone else showing up to help him in his like time of need, and somehow every live action thing for forever has ignored it. And then like even like the most popular Batman things like the Arkham games, they do have the Bat family members in there, but they are not important. And it's
No.
just like it's at a point where this needed to happen. And Saffron also like said it today that he like agrees, like they've been left out for way too long. So I feel like we'll get, well, at the very least we'll get Barbara, and we'll get like all the Robins. I don't know if they're gonna explore um spoiler and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
or Duke Thomas or anything like that, but I
I
don't
feel
care.
like they could bring in those characters just because they're already skipping to Damien at this point. So you can
Yeah.
easily just be like, oh yeah, and here's all the other members from over the years. Like,
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy. It's an easy explanation now.
yeah, like, because there's a difference between, like, starting off with, like, Dick Grayson on screen, and then you have to introduce everyone, and that in itself would take, like, 30 years to do. So
Yeah,
already
that was like
starting
the
off with, like,
biggest.
Jamie.
That was like the biggest concern, because if you started with Dick, you could, like, realistically, how are you gonna do that? Like, you could realistically only do like 3 Robins at most, not
Yeah.
everyone.
No, yeah,
So
you'd have
they
to
set
cut out
themselves up very well with starting with Damien. That was a very smart decision that I didn't think I didn't even think about that, but it's a great decision.
Yeah. No, like, it's a cool decision. And again, we know nothing about these movies. Like, they probably haven't even written the Batman thing yet. If they even have a writer, which I don't even think they have. I think they just have, like, synopsises. It's Gunn and Safran being, like, the Feige right now. They're like, okay, this is kind of the idea. We'll have someone come along to flesh it out. But yeah. Who's, like, your... I won't ask the Damien casting because, child actors are kind of hard to cast, especially because a lot of them end up being unknowns. But for Batman, who would you want to cast for Batman?
I have no idea.
I don't have. If you asked me who I wanted to cast for any of these characters, I couldn't give you an answer. Like,
and like you said with Damien, like, I feel like any Robin is one of the hardest castings for me. And I'm gonna see that edit of the Umbrella Academy kid everywhere, and I don't want to see it because, like,
well, he's already, like, what, 18 now? I think he's like my brother's age.
It's not a good casting in my opinion either. So it's like, I don't know, it all has to be unknown, and then, like, child actors, that's hard to find a good one. So that's why I'm thinking, like, they'll probably shoot for 14 or 15 just to get a little bit more of experienced person, and they can play 13. I'm sure. I mean,
like, that's
whatever.
Like, Daniel Radcliffe, when he was cast as Harry Potter in the first one, he was playing an 11-year-old and he was already, like, 13 or something. So
yeah, it's easy at that age because,
like,
you still look the same most of the time. Like, as long as you get someone who's a late bloomer, you'll be fine. But,
I mean, like, you got people on Riverdale pretending to be 18 right now, and they're like 30. So.
Oh, and then Batman, it's there's no one that isn't already snatched up from someone else that I would think of, or who's a big enough name. So you just got to get a handsome guy who's unknown, and that's all you need.
Yeah, you just need an unknown guy that's willing to dedicate the next 10 to 20 years of his life playing this character.
If the Lazarus Pit was real, I would put John Hamm in it and I would cast him immediately, but it's not. So we have to move on from that casting. It's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, he would have been good.
He just looks like Arkham Batman. It's so much.
He's got the build.
Loved it.
I really like him in. I only watched a few episodes. What's the name? What's the show called? Suits? I think it's Suits, or is it? It's not
Suits.
Suits. I don't think it's Suits. It's the other one. It's the other one where he's with an advertisement company. It doesn't matter. That show that he's known for.
Yeah,
I like him in that, and I've only seen a few episodes, and it looks bad that I don't remember the name, but
is it something Men?
Yeah, Mad Men. Mad Men.
Mad Men. Yeah, there you go.
Suits was kind of like a different one. But yeah, no. So Mad Men. Mad Men he was good in Mad Men. But yeah. What's the next thing?
Okay, the next movie on this list is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is it's based off a book.
It's based off
written by someone. Yeah.
Written by someone. Yes.
Is it Tom King who wrote it or something like that? I don't know, but it's based off a popular book where apparently Supergirl was raised on a piece of Kryptonian rubble. I have a description here. Based on Tom King's comic run of the same title from 2021 to 2022, Woman of Tomorrow features Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, who, as Gunn explained, is a very different type of Supergirl. And that's all they said about the movie.
So, I know, is the one from the current Flash movie that same Supergirl, or is she, like, a different Supergirl?
They did not clarify.
But I just know that
they
it's the same thing. It's like she might as well be the same character because she's like his cousin and all that. Like I think the name is the same. I don't know, but I wonder if it is going to be the same actress from the film that's yet to come out. If they are going to
yeah,
bother using
I
her.
don't know, because there was that another quote today that was saying how Gunn doesn't see why previous actors can't continue to play the characters they were playing before. And part of me still believes that he's still saying that because he has movies coming out for these actors.
Yeah, so let's talk
But
about that really quick.
yeah, there's another part of me that's quite worried that a lot of these people are going to be staying, and I would prefer a full on just start over. Like, I get you found good castings with Amanda Waller and the entire Suicide Squad and such, but you kind of have to commit, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah, no, I think, like, should he commit to the full hard reboot? He probably should, but the thing is, like, when he made, like, Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad, not the old one, he was working with, like, what he kind of had with the DC Universe at the time, and he ended up making a kick-ass movie. I love that movie. But,
yeah,
and a lot, like, every casting in that movie from the old movie worked in that movie a lot because the editing wasn't completely butchered. But, like, I feel like he will be picking and choosing a lot. And is that a good thing? I think it could be a good thing because then it shows that, like, the last, like, decade of DC wasn't, like, a complete, it
waste
wasn't
of
complete.
time.
I don't want to put it like that, but yeah, like, I'm trying not to be brutal here. Yeah, because, like, if you bring in the Suicide Squad, like, you say that movie's canon, which it probably is, because, like, at the end of it, and at the end of Peacemaker, like, isn't Waller, like, arrested or something, and then that's what it's gonna lead into, like, the Waller show, or is she, like, just totally exposed?
That comes up later in the slate again.
Yeah,
There's like
so
there's
most
two
likely,
projects that are technically like James Gunn projects from the previous universe, but he's carrying it over into this one. So
yeah,
it
like, I
kinda
think
creates...
that's fine because otherwise you would have to make another Suicide Squad movie to cover those characters again. So why would you want to do that so soon? If it was like, if that was like a decade ago or 20 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, like, why are you doing that? Just make a new one. All the actors are too old. But he just made that movie a few years ago. It underperformed, which breaks my heart every time I think about it. But to me, that's not the biggest deal in the world. Will it confuse audiences? It will confuse some, but I think audiences have grown accustomed to, like, the multiverse now, especially with Marvel
they're
bringing
smarter
it
than
in.
you think. Like,
They are
like,
a lot smarter than you think, and
they're
you know
not
what?
going to
And
be
even
like,
someone's
why is
confused,
this Batman not in that Batman? Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's very easy to look up an article or just use common sense and
yeah,
realize
just
it's a different
use
thing.
Google. You have the internet. Ask an AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to find, like, a timeline of things, and I mean, like, there's so many more, like, universes that are much more convoluted that way as well. So I feel like it's not even, like, again, it's not a big deal, and I don't think it's a big deal as long as its purpose is to tell a proper story and not, like, just to make connections for the sake of connections.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll make a connection to something, then something will get retconned, which is kind of like what's happening a lot right now with DC and Star Wars sometimes, but sometimes Marvel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's not really... Is that canon anymore? I don't know.
I don't
There's
think
debates
so.
about it.
I think they're doing what, like, the Netflix thing is doing, and they're just taking the cast. But either way, there's two other things that they mentioned, like, on this topic, and one of them was that Peter Safran came out and said that Jason Momoa always saw the Aquaman movies as a trilogy. So that kind of insinuates that we're going to be getting an Aquaman 3.
Well, that's what Jason Momoa thinks.
Yes, that's what he thinks as of now before the sequel comes out. And
Yes.
then James Gunn, I think the biggest point of contention with this recasting thing was two things. Henry Cavill, obviously, and then the rumor that Jason Momoa would be playing two characters. Luckily, James Gunn came out and said that every actor will have one role, and that's it. They're not going to be playing two different people.
So I think
whether
that's
that means he's playing Aquaman or Lobo, we have no idea yet. But he's not playing both.
He is not going to be playing both. Like, I am going to say this right now. they are going to recast Ezra. They are going to recast Gal. They are going to recast Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're out. There's not even a Wonder Woman film on this slate. There's that prequel Amazon series. Not like Amazon, but you know what I mean. The Amazon Warrior series. I gotta be more specific now. But, like, yeah, like, she's not even in that. And that's, like, thousands. That's, like, before the character's even born. Like...
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a long time. And a lot of the, like... Patty isn't even, like, around anymore, it seems, for, like, DC or Warner Brothers, or... She's having, like, a Star Wars movie get canceled and all that. But, like... It's very... I don't know. Like... These movies are not out yet. If you said right now that these movies are going to be retconned, they're not going to be a part of the new universe, all the actors are going to get recasted, that's going to hurt the box office just a little bit. So, what they're doing right now is just being like, this is still important. Please go watch this movie so we don't lose all of the money. Because they've already lost an insane amount of money from COVID, reshoots, the Amber Heard trials, things like that. Like, they're gonna be gone. Ezra in itself, like, the stuff that Ezra has done, like, I don't care who you are, like, that has to be accounted for, and they've acknowledged that. And as soon as the Flash movie comes out, as soon as that movie leaves theaters, Ezra is getting the boot.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm sorry. Like, they're not keeping, like, the Keaton scenes. We don't even know if they're keeping, like, the Ben Affleck Batman scenes in Aquaman. Like, there's a huge possibility that those scenes can be cut out.
Apparently Momoa shot like he shot like 3 versions. He shot 2 with Batman he shot 2 with 2 different Batman, and then he shot
the
one
3 Batman
that didn't have a Batman, and that's probably the one we're gonna have. And
what if there was one with both Batmen?
That would be great. I would love
awesome.
it. I love it so much. Because then neither of them are going to exist ever again.
You know, James Gunn should make a Batman series where it's Ben Affleck's Batman and Michael Keaton's Batman. Michael Keaton is stuck in the DCEU, so he has to roommate with Ben Affleck's Batman.
That'd be great.
I think that would be awesome.
It would be a sitcom. I would love it.
That would be so cool. They're like, Alfred, what do you do to the manor? It's like, well, Master Bruce, you asked me to completely redesign it. It's like, yeah, it looks real good, Alfred.
You made it look like the Seinfeld apartment. That's crazy.
That's crazy. It's like, it's from that one sitcom I like watching. It's pretty funny. It's like, Bruce, why did you do that? Need an overhaul. I don't know. Whatever. Dumb punchline. Laugh track.
I don't understand how more people aren't seeing what they're doing with these actors. Like James Gunn. No, it wasn't. It was Peter Safran who literally took Zachary Levi on like vacation with him and like gave him a goodie basket and was like, "You're still gonna play Shazam, good boy. Promote the movie, please. You're doing great." And like as soon as that movie's out, he's getting the boot. I don't see how people aren't seeing this. And if we're wrong, I will be shocked. Like I will be more shocked
I would
than I've
be
ever
really
been.
surprised if like. Now that's not to say that I think that we're smart or anything, but I just think that it's very clear what's happening, and I'm surprised that more people aren't like theorizing that.
I think it's just cope. I think a lot of people don't want to lose like the good parts of the universe, and they're like,
oh, they want to lose Ezra Miller?
Well, that nobody's talking about him, but like they're like, oh, but I like Jason Momoa. He's so cool, and I like Gal Gadot. She was the first Wonder Woman, since the 80s
Linda
or 90s,
Carter
whatever
one?
that was. Yeah, it's like they're so cool. Why would you get rid of them if they're good? But like, it's just because it's a reboot.
Sense.
Like
I just
whatever.
don't understand the logic when it's like, oh yeah, we got rid of Cavill. Cavill's gone. We're going for a younger Superman. All of the rest of the league is the same.
Yeah, they're all gonna be the same age. They're all gonna be older than Superman, and it's gonna be a weird dynamic because they're all in their 40s and we're 50s, and then Batman's in his 30s and Superman is early in his 30s. It's a whole keeping that cast is a whole other like convoluted thing they would be setting themselves up for.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to happen, especially Ezra Miller. He's gone.
yeah, that that dude is gone. 100%. 100%. Yeah. All right. What's the next movie?
Yeah. So the next movie is The Authority, which
The
apparently
Authority.
takes place right after Superman Legacy. It leads right into it. So, from global fame to relative obscurity, Superman Legacy will lead directly into The Authority, an ensemble movie about superhumans who have a less than idealistic approach to saving the world. That's all we have. They haven't commented on who's on the team. I don't personally know a lot about The Authority. All I know is really from our friend Evander. I don't know what you know. Like, do you know anything about them?
I didn't even know they existed until today.
So I don't have much to say about that, but this is just James Gunn doing his thing that he said he would do.
It'll be
sprinkling
like
in.
Yeah, like he brings in like it's what he did with like Guardians. Like no one knew who they were before, and if you look at their source material, they are completely different characters. So
Yeah,
he'll
the
do
source
whatever he
material
wants with them.
I tried to go back and read Guardians comics when it first came out, and it's completely different. It's not even something I want to pick up. And I
It's
assume
interesting
it's
to
gonna be the
read
same
for
here.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, who knows? It could be a one-to-one adaptation or something. I'm more so surprised that Gunn didn't pick up like the Doom Patrol and put them in the slate at
Yeah,
this point.
that's surprising. And honestly, I feel if they didn't have a show, he probably would have done that team.
Yeah, that's something for
Um,
Chapter 2.
Yeah, because Doom Patrol feels like I didn't even think about that. That feels like a Gunn project. That like
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like he could
that
do
like
great things
screams
with that.
James Gunn kind of stuff. Like at least in my opinion. But yeah, like with again going back to the Batman thing, you have Damian who's probably he's gonna be a teenager, 13, 12. Well, 12's not a teenager, but 13, 15, something like that. And then you got Dick Grayson, who's probably in his late 20s or maybe he's 30 by now. Who knows? We'll see what happens with that. Like you kind of have little Titans going on there. You kind of have like some things going on there that you can bring in for a potential Titans team. And there's no
Yeah, I
Justice
hope
League
so.
movie too. On
Yeah,
Chapter
that's. I'm actually really happy that they didn't put that on the slate at
Yeah,
first.
I'm
'Cause
happy that they're not rushing to that like they did last time. Like
you need some time, especially in between the last league. Because if they put here's the other thing that we didn't talk about. If they put a Justice League on this slate, they would receive so many comments saying it wouldn't be better than the Snyder Cut. Like so many, and so it was definitely smart. Even if there is a league movie in in this phase that hasn't been announced yet, which I'm sure there is, they're not gonna announce it anytime soon.
No,
They're gonna distance themselves for a while. I want to talk about projects we hope for later on, like at the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
but,
of course, yeah.
So since we don't have much on that movie, the next thing on the list is Swamp Thing. Easily the most extreme example of Gunn and Safran's conviction to diversify the DCU. Swamp Thing will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing, Safran said, through the prism of horror. So this is going to be a horror movie, that's what they say. So that's pretty exciting, especially since they canceled the show that was apparently good.
Here's what happened with the show. I mean, like, I think you already know, but in case, like, the audience doesn't know or the listener doesn't know. So the show's first season on DC Universe before, like, they censored it for the CW. I haven't seen it. I've been meaning to see it, but apparently it was, like, one of the best seasons of comic book television, like, ever. Like, it was a great adaptation. And so you're probably wondering, like, oh yeah, there's Titans. That's not that goes too far in some places and kind of doesn't really stick to the skeleton. And Doom Patrol is like its own thing. How come this one's like 1-to-1, like almost perfect as an adaptation? And that's because the creators behind it went against Warner Brothers and they were like, yeah, we're not gonna do what you want us to do, because they wanted to have like a CW like romance plot, and they wanted Swamp Thing to be able to bounce in between like a handsome dude and
Yeah,
like
I
Swamp
heard
Thing
about
himself.
that recently. Actually, I didn't know about that, and then I was listening to something, and they were like, they wanted him to be this handsome CW guy who could just turn into a swamp
Yeah,
monster
which
and
is
have like
not like
tendrils. And
that's
like,
not Swamp
no,
Thing at all. Like that's so that's basically like the Hulk or Dr. Jekyll or something. But yeah, so so obviously because remember when the season dropped, or like it was like the first episode dropped, literally the day the episode dropped, it was announced that the season was canceled, or like the show was canceled.
yeah,
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 and they blamed it on like taxes because they were filming in North Carolina, and they were just saying, "Oh yeah, no, it was just we got taxed really hard, so now we're ending the show." It's like that does not make any sense.
they
Even
also
back
cut
then
it
as
short.
a kid,
I
yeah,
believe.
they did cut it short, I think too. But even as like a younger, like I was in like high school when this happened. I was like, I don't know, I might have been like 17. Like I knew that was crap from like a mile away. I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
what's going on here? But that was only revealed like when it went on the CW and it got like revived and it got canceled the CW. And so they went back and censored season 1 for the CW to re-air it, and then they made season 2 that I know nothing about. So maybe they did do the handsome guy thing where he bounces in between Swamp Thing and all that. But yeah, so that's what happened with that. I am so excited for like the fact that we're gonna get movies that are in the same universe that have different, like completely different genres. Like, and when I say genres, like because another thing that I'm stumbling, I'm just so excited. But Saffron and Gunn, or Saffron, whatever it is, my apologies. But like they kind of made a point of saying, or like a big thing about this universe is that it's between PG-13, and rated R stuff. And
I have the direct quote here.
oh, okay. What's
that
the
I
quote?
can read.
I
So
wanna
it
read
starts. You can't be telling the same good guy, bad guy, giant thing in the sky, good guys win story again. You need to tell stories that don't just pretend to be different genres, but actually are different genres. So a little shot at Marvel real quick. It's not the gun verse. What makes it so fun is to see the individual expression of the writers and the director that are making those projects, and not about me superimposing something on top of that.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Actual comic books.
Yeah.
Actual variety. It's like, whoa, I can read this really dark Batman comic that's about like a serial killer that's like cutting off like that's just separating conjoined twins, and then I can read this Justice League comic where Batman's dressed in blue and he's all happy.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? So the fact that we're getting that, but basically in the movies, that is so exciting, because that means like this universe is never going to get boring.
Yeah, it's ideal. And like the biggest the biggest flaw with Marvel right now that a lot of people are upset with is that like the tone is the same throughout everything.
Yeah, like even like
and certain stories that
man.
really affects it.
Yeah,
and now
like
the DCU just confirmed it's not going to fall to that same thing. Like they're gonna learn from Marvel's mistakes.
that's good. I like that.
It's great.
Yeah, like I was almost interrupting. I was keep jumping ahead, but like
It's okay.
Yeah, because like I generally like Marvel and like the MCU. Like it's always fun to watch whatever they're doing. But we'll get something like Multiverse of Madness. That's like a good example of like, okay, you're changing things up a little bit. I like it. That's good. And then you'll have like Werewolf by Night, and Werewolf by Night's good, but like it just feels like it's trying to be different, but it feels the same.
It could have been better if they just let the tone be what it is instead of trying to make it a Marvel thing. It's it's good. It's one of the better things that they've done for Disney Plus. But like you said, it's more or less the same.
Yeah, I want to see them keep trying with things like that. I want to see them keep trying to put things out, because like the only thing that's different from this and like a normal MCU project is that A, it's in black and white for most of the movie. Spoiler, sorry. And B, they do use practical effects makeup for when he turns into the werewolf, which is cool. But it's like, I don't want to say looks cheap, but like it's trying to like have that like classic Universal monster kind of vibe to it, and it looks cool, but it just doesn't feel like they're going all the way in some places. You know, it still feels like a generic kind of Marvel movie. And again, there's nothing wrong with like the MCU. Like, there's a reason why it's a $1 billion franchise. It's like the number one franchise on Earth right now.
Yeah, it works. Like,
Yeah,
but
like it
but I
works.
think the good part about this is that we'll still get the MCU, which is popular, and it's all the kind of the same genre, so it fits in very nicely. But then DC is gonna differentiate itself, which is a good thing. So like we'll get different tones within that, and if you want a horror superhero film, you go to DC. If you want more of the same, you go to Marvel. And I think that's a good way to differentiate each other and not just be like, oh, we're copying the same formula.
Yeah, no, I'm happy that they're making it really clear, and this was like the biggest thing that got me excited for when Gunn and Safran took over, was the fact, like, it just sparked in my mind, like, he's gonna encourage all the creative diversity so we can just get a bunch of different stuff done by different people done right. And I don't know, I'm really looking forward to that, because we haven't really had that ever for a while. Like, the last time that kind of happened with DC was probably like the Burton films. Like,
Yeah.
89, good movie, and then like they made a lot of like money with like merchandise and things like that. The reason why there's no Batman 89-3 is because the toys were too ugly for Batman Returns, and it was and they were getting a lot of complaints from parents saying that the movie was too violent and it was too dark. So they were like, yeah, Tim, it's like, you don't want me to make another movie, do you? They're like, oh, well, we didn't say that. It's like, oh, you didn't have to.
Yeah, you don't want me to.
Yeah,
I'll
you
make
don't want me
Superman.
to.
Oh wait,
I'll
no, I
make
won't.
Superman. Oh God, I gotta watch that documentary. One of my friends just
I do
watched
too.
It.
I actually never did.
That'll be a good for a podcast. There you go.
Yeah, actually, that's true. So that's the end of the movies for the first the first
That's only
part
the movies.
of chapter 1. So we have an equal amount of TV shows. The first TV show is actually one of the ones that is carrying over from the old universe. This show was it wasn't rumored, but James Gunn said he had another TV show in the works that wasn't Peacemaker or Suicide Squad or anything like that. And it's called Creature Commandos. On the team, Weasel from the Suicide Squad is on it. But this is an animated series for HBO Max. The very first project greenlit by Safran and Gunn. Gunn has written every episode. The show is already in production, so we'll probably be getting that a lot sooner than people think. And that's pretty much all the information we have from the picture. Again, this is another team I knew nothing about, but it looks like the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monsters on this team. I don't know. Do you know anything about this team?
I do not. But what I am excited about is that the fact we're getting like animated shows that are in the same universe, and like, I don't know, I think that's great. Like,
yeah, he also clarified that like in anything a part of this universe, the actors will play every version of that character. So they're casting animated voices, but then if these characters ever make it to live action, those voice actors will also play them in the live action version. So that's pretty cool consistency that we
That's
don't
really
usually
good.
see.
Well, like, even with like Star Wars, like, you don't have Ewan McGregor voicing Obi-Wan in like the Clone Wars. You got names escaping my mind, but you have that guy that's voiced him since like 2003, and he's just been doing the same voice, and he's great, and he sounds almost like Ewan McGregor, or Ewan McGregor. I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, like, it's just, again, another exciting thing, because you have two departments. You have like the live action stuff happening at the same time, but then you also have animated stuff in the works from a different department with different people working on them. So I'm not saying that, oh, it's good that we're getting a bunch of stuff, because obviously that can go wrong with like quantity over quality, but just the fact like that they're open to doing that, because that's like, it's a great way to expand the universe. I mean, I would say it's a good way to save money, but animation these days is costing a lot more money. But yeah, just different mediums and different ways that you can portray things. It's very smart that they're doing this to like build up their new universe. I don't know. I'm just excited for all their animated stuff as well.
He also didn't mention anything. There's no video game announcements, but that's also going to be a
Yeah,
part
he
of
did
everything.
mention video games.
And like, I'm curious about how they'll do that. Because if you're carrying the actors over, I'm kind of worried about this in one aspect actually. Because let's say you get a Batman actor, and suddenly you want to make a Batman video game that's like set in the past. Since we're skipping over so many Robins, you can make a game where like Dick Grayson's the Robin, and that's how you tell that backstory. But the actors aren't voice actors, and I'm actually kind of worried that we could get like the movie tie-in type thing where like Tobey Maguire sounded like a wooden doll. So I'm very curious about how that will play out later on, because it's a whole different thing. Like, you have to project your voice more and show emotion through your voice. You can't use your face.
Well,
so
here's
I'm a little
my
concerned.
answer to that. Mocap.
That's true. They didn't
Because-
have that back then. I didn't think about that. It's
Because
very
like you
true.
have Jedi Fallen Order with Cameron Monaghan, very talented actor, and he could totally play that character in live action if he wanted
Yeah,
to.
100%.
And he wasn't a voice actor originally. So again, I think if they cast the right people, they can do it. Now, are they all going to be hits? Probably not. It's pretty hard. Like, acting in general is hard, let alone like voice acting. That's a completely different art. Like, you have guys like Mark Hamill in the booth, like really moving like his face around, and he's like going just absolutely crazy playing like the Joker. But then you'll see him play Luke Skywalker, and he acts in a total different way. Like, it's just a different skill. So I think if they are going to do the mocap stuff and do some Hideo Kojima stuff where they cast celebrities and then put them in the game, as long as they have like the mocap there, then I think it should be fine as a good fallback. But yeah, generally,
I feel like
cast
some
someone
actors might get like so big that they're gonna be like, I'm not doing this damn video game. I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah, that is a
Stupid.
problem. That's why they're gonna have contracts.
Exactly. You gotta get these 10-year
It's contract
contracts signed.
obligated. It's like, hey, you want your $1 million? Okay, we'll do a mocap for Batman Arkham Prison, and
Yeah.
boom,
Arkham Okay.
Prison, Blackgate Asylum.
Oh goodness.
Yes,
Okay.
Arkham
So
World.
the next, Arkham World. I was reminded about that today. Actually, that's. Oh man. Okay. So the next series is the Waller TV show,
Mhm.
which season 2 of Peacemaker has been put on hold, and instead we're getting everyone from Peacemaker apparently in this Viola Davis led Waller TV show. And apparently the creator of the Doom Patrol series is coming on for this show. I never watched Doom Patrol, actually. I saw like the first season, but apparently it was good, so I guess that's good news.
Yeah, the first season is really good.
But this is the first thing, like this is the one and only project on this list that is seemingly confirming that some actors are going to carry on.
Such as Viola Davis.
Yes, and apparently everyone from Peacemaker, which
Yes.
makes sense because I'd never expected him to recast them.
Oh no!
There was like
his
little
wife is a main character on the show. He's that'll be a funny conversation to have. He's gonna end up sleeping on the couch for a few days. So.
Yeah, like, sorry, Harcourt is no longer in the movies, hun. I'll buy you something. I'm sorry.
It's like, with our money. It's like, yes.
There's no details about what that show is. Where did we leave off with Waller? Was she arrested? Is that?
I'm pretty sure, like, she got exposed by, I forgot the character's name. It's like Ababayo or something like that. Like that's not her name, but it's similar. Her daughter exposed her at the end of Peacemaker season 1.
Oh yeah, her daughter. Okay.
Like
Okay.
hardcore. Not like I like she hardcore exposed her. It's just there's another character called whatever. So she exposed her like all the way. So she's probably going to prison or going to some type of like underground CIA holding thing, and that's probably what the show's going to be about. Is it going to be exactly that? No, but it's probably going to be. You're probably going to see the consequences of Peacemaker season 1 spark that show into what's happening.
Yeah, I wonder how like the Peacemaker team is going to be involved, because like they all seemingly don't like Amanda Waller, so maybe they're just like,
I think they're maybe forced to help her. She's good at getting leverage and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm curious about that series. It's not the project I'm most excited for, but it's gonna. I'm looking forward to it. So
it's gonna be like Peacemaker season 2.5.
That's true.
So
it's very true.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, more John Cena maybe. It's another Suicide Squad spinoff, so I'm automatically looking forward to it.
Pretty much. Okay, so the next one is Lanterns, which...
Oh, yeah, this is exciting.
Thank God.
So, I just want to interject real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is where, like... I don't know, like, the order that James Gunn put things in, but this was, like, the first thing of, like... This was, like, the first project he said, like, after, like, the old DCEU stuff. He said, he emphasized this in the video. I can bring it up. He said, this is where the DCU really begins.
Yeah. So, of all the... Safran and Gunn seem most excited for Lanterns. Safran described as a huge HBO quality event that is very much in the vein of True Detective. The show will focus on... That's amazing. Yeah, that's phenomenal. The show will focus on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, arguably the two biggest Green Lanterns. It's not even arguably, like, that's just a fact. Those are the two biggest Green Lanterns.
That's just a fact. That's who you think of.
Which, thank God, because we've recorded podcasts in the past, and the last one we did, or a couple ago, you told me about the Green Lantern series, and the main character... No, it was... what was it?
It was an anthology.
Anthology.
With each episode. And they were fighting for human rights in each episode or something like that, and not going to space battles.
Development hell for so long, because I remember hearing about Green Lantern series like every year for like 5 years. And like Guy Gardner was cast. He's that guy's not in it anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
But thank God. And this sounds... this is ideal. This is the ideal Green Lantern thing.
It sounds like something that a fan pitched, and that's really cool.
Everyone, like, years ago was pitching Top Gun with... not Top Gun. Lethal Weapon.
Oh, Lethal Weapon. Oh,
with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and that sounds like what we're getting. Like, this is everything people wanted.
Yeah, no, it's just... Again, I can't, like... For anyone that's a DC fan right now and they don't think that as of today, that's when Gunn and Safran announced all this stuff. If they don't think that today is a win, then are you a fan of DC? Like, it's just crazy to me with like, because even like though a lot of things in this chapter aren't like massive things, like you got a Batman and Robin movie, like that's crazy. We've never had that in like at least almost 3 decades now, which is crazy to think about.
Huge news. Like that's giant.
That in itself is giant. If you actually like outside of like the mainstream people are like, oh yeah, I like Batman. We've got a freaking Green Lantern show that's like a buddy cop style thing, based on like or inspired by True Detective season 1, which is like I just watched that like a few weeks ago. One of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. Please go watch that right now. Maybe this will encourage people to go watch that. But, like, holy, wow. Like, again, the casting needs to be perfect because the character chemistry is going to be very important here. You need to get
John
that
Diggle. You can get him.
John Diggle, yeah. No, that guy's actually cool.
He is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I hate what they did with him in the show, but
I feel bad for what they did. It's like you get the ring, but now you have to decline the ring.
Throw it away.
Throw it away.
It's not in the budget.
It's not. We can't do that. We don't have blue screens like that. You gotta just. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, God. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just curious to see what Ryan Reynolds thinks of this new Green Lantern show.
I feel like he'll comment on it. I don't know.
Should comment on it.
They'll bring it up in Deadpool 3 or something.
Yeah, because like he wasn't like an awful casting. It's just the movie.
I think current day Ryan Reynolds with some more serious roles under his belt could have played Hal Jordan pretty well.
Yeah,
but it just wasn't good, and they played too much into Deadpool. But that's whatever. That's a crappy
he's just
movie.
Deadpool in every movie now. So, man.
They also said that other Green Lanterns will be in it. So, whether that means like all the ones we always see in the background. Or if that means like Kyle Rayner will show up or something. I'm not sure, but they did say there'll be others. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, that's like, I really like out because like Zaslav wants to do more movies and things like that, and he hasn't been greenlighting as many shows, or some shows have been getting axed. Like a lot of shows have been getting axed, like Titans and Doom Patrol just bit the bullet a few days ago. So I'm assuming that if he's down to make this Green Lantern show within like the new DC universe, it's going to be a big show.
Yeah, they even like put emphasis that this is going to be like the biggest show they do like in this slate. Like this is an HBO event TV show.
They're going to need that Mando budget, man.
Yeah, they need a lot. It's It's really, with all of these projects, realistically, with like the heavy hitters, it all comes down to casting. You really got to do well with this. So that's really the next thing I'm really looking forward to. All these casting announcements,
writers, directors, all that fun stuff. We'll be looking forward to.
The next series is Booster Gold.
Booster Gold. Kind of saw this one coming.
I didn't. Not at all.
You didn't?
No, not at all. I more so expected Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, like another buddy cop thing. But I get why they didn't do it with Green Lantern and a Blue Beetle movie coming out. But Booster Gold, Saffron called Booster a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to today and pretend to be a superhero. And Gunn added, basically Booster Gold is imposter syndrome as a superhero. And that's all we have on the series.
That's cool.
So they understand the character. That's good.
They understand. That's good. Because we've been lacking that lately.
Cast a blonde douchebag and you'll be fine. It's all good. I don't know. I'm pretty excited for it. I think it could be a good
I think
comedy.
It's gonna catch people by surprise.
Yeah, for sure. And like we've had Booster Gold in live action in Smallville. I think
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it was not good, but we have had him before.
Technically, you have had him. It might not be him 100%, but you've had him at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know. I think that's going to be pretty good. There's not much to say on it, but no plot or anything like that. And I haven't even really read much Booster Gold outside of team ups. So I don't even know what stories they could adapt for him outside of just trying to be a cool superhero in the modern day.
Mm-hmm. He has depression.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe if Snyder was directing it. Anyway. Number 10, the last thing on the slate is Paradise Lost. They describe it as Game of Thrones-ish. Is set on an island of Themyscira before the birth of Diana. It's really about the political intrigue behind a society of all women. And I guess they did confirm it's oh wait, never mind. It says it in the quote. It's a prequel to okay, so here's some confusion actually. People are saying there's misinformation going around saying that this is a prequel to the Wonder Woman movies. So everyone is automatically assuming that Gal Gadot was just confirmed to be Wonder Woman still. They don't say that at any point. They say it takes place before Wonder Woman's birth.
Yeah,
they do not say it's a prequel to the movies. They just say it's a prequel.
It's like how Gotham is a prequel to Batman.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Clear that up.
For people that don't know.
This is not confirmed. This is not confirming Gal Gadot is returning.
No. See, and that just goes further into the conspiracy theory that we have. But, yeah. No, I mean, like, this show's like, give me cool Amazon Warrior action and some good writing. They said it's going to be Game of Thrones style with, like, the storytelling. So, hopefully that's good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say on this? Because I got some breaking news on my phone.
I don't have much to say about this. It'll be cool.
How big
just
of a
have
fan
cool
of Wonder
action
Woman
scenes.
you are.
I don't like Wonder Woman. We don't have to talk about that though. What's the breaking news?
Okay, so via comic book, Jason Momoa won't be playing Lobo in DCU. Then let me read it. So DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran said Jason Momoa isn't playing Lobo. Instead, the actor is still attached to play Aquaman with the possibilities of Aquaman 3 in the future. Nonetheless, Gunn put everything on an end, saying, "We'll figure it out after Aquaman 2." So again, it's leaning into my conspiracy theory. I'm telling you right now, like this is what's happening.
Oh my God, that's basically the same quote that came out for Ezra Miller earlier, because they said that they'll talk to him after the Flash and after they get better, and they didn't say he's continuing. They said they'll have a talk.
Yeah, they'll have a talk. I'm assuming that talk's like, "Hey, listen, the police are outside. Go quietly."
Oh my God.
Be the talk.
Yeah. And they just said he's not playing Lobo. That's surprising. I really actually.
Are you just not having Jason Momoa back in general? Is that what's happening? I don't know. Is he gonna cause too much trouble? I don't know. We'll see.
You know
what
what actually would be crazy? You know that video he put out where he was like, I'm playing Aquaman and I'll play other characters. What if that was just him saying that to like kind of like blackmail DC into keeping him, and like now they're just like, you're on the shit list. You're not even playing Lobo now.
You know, I could see that because I like Jason Momoa. He's a fun guy. Like he's like a bro in real life. Like he's just down to earth and all that.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
he seems like a good guy.
He has been like ever since like the Snyder stuff, like with how Snyder left. Well, he wasn't left. He was basically like kicked out, and you know he had all that like all those awful things happen in his personal life. And just the way that WB kind of handled that for years, Jason Momoa, like he was like one of like the leading pillars to bring in like the Snyder Cut and all that. You know, like he's openly tweeted like things that kind of go against Warner Brothers, and I mean rightfully so, because like I'm pretty sure now I might just be remembering something wrong, or only a few people remember this, but like the day like that Ray Fisher started to talk about Warner Brothers and he started to talk about like his more negative experiences. Now, Ray Fisher's a whole different other subject. You know, I'm not supporting anyone here. I just want to make that clear. But when you started to talk about Warner Brothers, there was a outlet that had a source from Warner Brothers supposedly that Jason Momoa was going to star in a live-action Frosty the Snowman movie, and they dropped that article the day, like a few hours or like an hour after Ray Fisher started to post all that. So judging by all that, whether they actually did get that source from Warner Brothers or not, I can see why Jason Momoa is a little upset. Over the years, but yeah, I think like he's someone that's willing to speak his mind a lot, and that's a great thing. That's a great quality in a human. But I don't know how that's gonna play out with how like aggressive he can kind of be, because he's very defensive like of his role. Like he's very protective of like he's like, I am Aquaman. I love being Aquaman. I'm happy to have this opportunity and all that. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe he'll get a really good severance paycheck. I think
Yeah, I
that's
feel
what'll
like he
happen.
will. You can kind of see like the two halves of it, because the most outspoken people about the Snyder Cut and about WB were Jason Momoa and Ray Fisher, right? And Ray Fisher, I'm pretty sure Cyborg was his first acting role, and he like he got blacklisted after
Yeah,
everything he said. He has not been.
I think he was an
Uh,
up and comer. I think he was in a few things before
yeah,
that. But
nothing
yeah, like
nothing
that
too
was like his
big.
like no one knew who he was. Like he was an unknown basically.
Yeah, he
And
was
now he's not being
blacklisted.
hired by anyone. Yeah.
And then Jason Momoa was in Game of Thrones and all this stuff, and he's a bigger name. So when he spoke out, they were like, "But he kind of brings people in, and he's charismatic, so we kind
Yeah,
of
no,
have to
he's a
keep
good
him."
guy. He's a
So
nice
it's
guy.
like I can see why they kept him longer than Ray Fisher, and I can see how they have an out now, and they'll probably give him
His
some
movie also made
severance
a
pay.
billion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's definitely incentive, but I don't know. I think I'm pretty
And
sure
that's
he's
the other
out.
thing too. Like a lot of people like cuz in order to get out of those big contracts, like someone's going to end up having to pay a lot of money. Like people just don't really understand how Hollywood works cuz like Marlon Wayans, he was supposed to be in Batman Returns. This is like the infamous story. His scenes were cut, but it was in his contract that he was still supposed to be in the movie. So he gets like severance royalties from that movie like every year or maybe it's every month or something. And he has come out and said, "Yeah, I made way more money not being in the movie than if they put me in the movie." Like
Holy, I
these
didn't know
actors,
that.
yeah,
Wait,
no,
he gets several. He gets checks from which one? Batman
returns, yeah,
Returns. Wow.
yeah, where he plays Dick Grayson, the mechanic who fixes the Batmobile because the Batmobile gets damaged in that movie, and Batman's like, "Well, I can't fix it."
Wait, is he's in that movie?
Not actually in the movie because all of his scenes
Okay.
were cut.
Okay. I was about
But
to
yeah.
say, cuz like I'm complete, cuz I remembered watching like this one YouTuber talk about the canceled movie, like the canceled third movie that he was actually going to be Robin, and then they made that comic book like pretty recently, which I have to read still. But yeah, I was like, "Damn, was he actually in that movie?" Okay. That's crazy that he still makes money off of it. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, he. At least that's what he said on like Conan O'Brien or something like that. Like that's just what I remember watching, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. So if WB is trying to like screw you out of like a movie or like a big studio is like, and you were already signed on to do it, they're gonna give you a very nice severance fee. So you look at
Mhm.
Bob Chapek, who basically got fired from Disney.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be he just became CEO. He was supposed to be CEO for like at least 5 years. He got like I can guarantee you right now, he got like the biggest paycheck you could ever imagine for being fired.
He's set for life, probably.
Yeah, no, he's set for life. He does not need to work for years. And I mean like yeah, is he screwed for the film business? Yeah, he is right now. But he got probably like $90 million in the bank plus all the other money he's been making as a CEO for the last like year, and he's been banking it for a while. Bob Iger's back. He's making crazy more money. Like Hollywood, a lot of things happen. Like, and that's the other thing that people don't realize about Hollywood. It's like a lot of like these actors, like yeah, they make their money from the movie, and they'll talk about like, oh yeah, like I should have been paid more. Which yeah, in some cases they should be paid more, but they make money from guest appearances on shows, advertisement campaigns, things like that. They end up making like $50 million.
Yeah.
Like, so, and even if the news breaks out tomorrow, like, yeah, Jason Momoa will no longer be with the DC universe. Like, he's going to be a subject of talk for a while. He's a big celebrity. Other people will want to pick him up as well. So it's not like he's going to be like, yeah, it's going to be a big setback for him and that's going to suck. But like, things will probably pick back up for him eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, a charismatic guy in Hollywood with muscles, he'll be fine.
Big muscle. Yeah.
Big muscle. Um. But yeah, that's every project. I want to talk about what we think will be next, or what we want to be next, project wise, in chapter 1 or beyond, anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, and Gods and Monsters is the nickname after that animated movie. Or was it also a
Yes.
comic? I think it might have been also a comic as well. I
It's
don't know.
probably a
You see, I
comic.
claim to be a DC fan, but I don't know a lot of things, as it turns out.
I I know things about specific characters, but I'm not someone who knows everything.
I like to try to know a general thing about everything, but not everything, it seems.
Yeah,
So,
those there are those people that can like cite like what happened in an issue from the 70s, and they'll be like, this person appeared in this and I've read every issue. I'm not that person.
I'm not that person. I like other franchises, too.
Yeah, I spend my time in other realms, if you will.
Yeah. But,
Um
yeah, so what's, like, one big project that you would want to see?
so I'm inclined to say a Nightwing movie or Titans, but I don't want to because that's obvious. But I think what I realistically want is before we get a League movie or anything, I either want to see World's Finest or I want to see a Trinity film, um, just to flesh out those characters more. And I really enjoy um, Superman and Batman's friendship. I think it's
I
another
really like
thing.
that.
Yeah, it's another thing that we haven't seen ever in live action, and I would really like to. In the animated stuff, like those movies they did where I forget the name of it, but Joker and Lex Luthor were the villain in it, and it was Batman and Superman. They play into that in that film, and we've seen it in other mediums, like the first like year one of Injustice before everything goes bad. Um, and I just want to see that in live action really bad. So World's Finest movie is probably my current dream project for like the rest of chapter one.
Yeah, no, like, at the end of chapter 1, I want to see that, at least, for sure. I'm trying to think, like, I wonder how like if bouncing around like the timeline will be on the table in terms of creativity. I mean, it's James Gunn and Safran, and like they seem to be more encouraging of like, yeah, go think outside the box. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wonder if they'll do like some prequel stuff, and or like because like you have a Batman and a Superman with like, I mean, maybe not so much Superman in this one, but like you got Batman, and I'm assuming you got other heroes that have more of like a past. Like Batman is starting with Damian in this universe. Like you're telling me that he's the first Robin? No, like I want to see like maybe like this is where you can have animated shows come in. This is where you can have
That's
live
true.
action
Yeah.
shows come in, like or video games. Just something like that. You can just start developing that world, tell different stories. Yeah, man. Like I don't know. Like I want to see bigger characters that we haven't even seen on screen before. Just get their time to shine, and I think that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I didn't even think about the animated show thing. Like, we could get like a Robin year one where Dick Grayson's Robin is
Yeah,
in
I
an
think we
animated
kind of
format.
need like a like we need to see Dick as Robin because we haven't had that since like the early '90s on screen in live action. We haven't seen Jason Todd as Robin in live screen / movies. We haven't seen Tim Drake. We're
Yeah.
just getting Damien now. And yeah, no, I want to see Batgirl. I want to see Spoiler. I want to see Orphan. I mean, we might not get all those. That's fine. I understand that you got to cut some of them. And you can put elements from their characters into other characters. I totally get that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, like it's time to shine. I want to see a Titan show. Like,
So
done right.
with you saying that you could put elements into other characters, so imagine they do. How would you feel if they did what the animated series did, where they combine two Robins?
Yeah, like combine like Tim and Jason
Yeah.
into one, like they did. Yeah, like I wouldn't mind that. Here's the thing: if they do that, like if they do it exactly like the DCAU, and then they do like Return of the Joker, and they do all that, that's cool. But like, if they do that or something like that, then I want to see like, because like Red Hood, like Jason Todd, like there's consequences to what happened to Jason Todd. There's
Yep.
Tim Drake. You see the consequences of what happened to Tim Drake, what Batman failed to do both times. So as long as you have like that consequence come later, then I'm completely fine with that. I'm completely open to that. like you want to combine like elements of Stephanie Brown with Barbara Gordon. That's fine too, I guess. And I mean, there's some characters you don't even need to include. Like honestly, just because like they haven't gotten enough attention in the comics, so you would have to take more creative liberties. So it's just better probably not to do that, so you don't
Yeah,
do a
like
character
I
any
don't care about
disservices.
Batwing. I don't really need Batwing. Like
Yeah, we don't
I
need Batwing until like we're really far into the timeline here.
yeah.
Like,
If they get that far where they're like, we need this, that's fine. Do it.
yeah,
I don't need him immediately. Like focus on the others
I would
first,
rather
please.
see Terry McGinnis first than we get Batwing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather like Duke Thomas than Batwing. Like yeah, we don't need Batwing right away. So I think if they do that, like again, like we're just using examples that like people know, but if they do that with like some other characters too, then again that wouldn't be the end of the world as long as it's like ultimately a good story. Because I think the difference between like cutting corners and wanting to tell a good story is like you're working with restrictions and all that. It's not like you're doing something just to be edgy or just doing something just to like um cut expectations in half. Not cut, subvert. That's the word. Subvert expectations. Like, oh, it was actually Jason Todd, or it was actually Dick Grayson that was the Robin that died instead of Jason Todd. Like, that's kind of stupid in my opinion. Like, I don't think that's like that was a great creative choice there. There's contradicting sources on whether that's true or not, but like an idea like that has no payoff. Like, it's whatever. Like, if you're gonna do an adaptation, do it right. Go by the source material. If you want to make a creative change for the sake of a story that's actually gonna have payoff to it, then fine. By all means, go ahead. We have the multiverse. Who cares? Like, honestly, at this point, I don't want to sound all smug or be like that guy or sound like a hipster. But before today, like I was honestly like I could have gone the rest of my life without having a live action DC universe at this point. I was just so worn down, and I was just like, you know what? I like the comics that I read. I like the shows that I watch. I like the movies that I watch. I like the games that I play. And I know my interpretation of these characters. I don't need like a movie to tell me what I should think of a character anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at the point where I understand most. I'm saying most because there's characters I don't even know, like we discovered in this podcast. But
Yeah.
like generally, I have a pretty good idea of how things should go. Of course, I could be wrong in a lot of places, but I don't know. I just feel like I was getting to the point where I was like, okay, I've outgrown it. But now it's like, now they've opened the can of worms again. Now I'm falling down the rabbit hole, and it's like, okay, well, now I want to see what you do. And if you take a creative liberty or two, whatever, just give me a good story. Just give me a good story. That's all you gotta do.
Oh man, all the projects are great, but the one thing that really sucked me in is just the fact that Robin is a thing, and I'm just so grateful.
That's
but,
a huge thing.
like, oh my god. Anyway, give me a Plastic Man movie with Ben
Plastic
Schwartz.
Man
That's
movie.
great. The voice of Sonic, he'll be great.
Yeah,
Just
the voice
do that.
of Sonic. Very good actor. Good comedian. Yeah. That'll be good. I'd like it. I like it a lot. But yeah.
There's just a lot of potential.
Well, a lot
Very
of potential
exciting
here.
time.
Now, do we have any more shows we gotta talk about? Or is that it? Did we cover
I don't
everything?
think so. I think they announced 10 projects. That was
10.
it.
Yeah, it was like 10. That's only 10.
Yeah, they also said there was a comment about Blue Beetle that apparently that takes place in its own timeline and fits directly into the DCU. I didn't see that article, but I saw people quoting James Gunn on it. If that's true, that's fine. I like the actor they have for Blue Beetle.
If the movie's good, I don't care. If I
yeah,
like the movie,
that's
I don't
another
care.
factor. If it's good, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
You know what? There's another thing we actually avoided. Batgirl. There was a comment on that.
Batgirl.
Peter Safran came out and said that canceling Batgirl was a good decision because the release of it would have hurt DC more than it helped it. So he basically said that movie was unfinished garbage.
Yeah. Here's what I have to say about Batgirl. Now, of course, movies are up to interpretation in terms of like, do you like it or not? You know, it's as a vibe with you because movies are really ultimately based off of a vibe, like they're subjective.
Mm-hmm.
If everyone behind the scenes is saying like, yeah, this is for the best, then I'm gonna take it with that and move along. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see old Michael Keaton be Batman for 2 seconds with Jim Gordon. That's not his Jim Gordon. That's not even the Jim Gordon from Justice League. He has like a wig now and all that. He looks younger for some reason, and
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I
I
forgot
don't.
he was actually going to be in that movie.
J.K. Simmons, and I don't need a half-ass Firefly where you're not even adapting one of the two Fireflies correctly. Like you're just playing it half and half. Like you're wasting a great actor, Brendan Fraser, for that role. You're wasting a great actress, Leslie Grace. She would have totally taken the bomb for this movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, like if it's gonna harm everyone, don't release it or reshoot the movie. And they chose to not release it, which I completely like. I agree with them. Like, yeah, no, this is fine. And plus, it's not going to make any sense now that they're not doing the whole Michael Keaton as the main Batman thing. So,
Dude, I
there's
can't
no
believe
point
that
to
was actually
doing that.
happening at one point. Holy crap.
It's an insane roller coaster we've been on the last few years because it's like a roller coaster in the dark and it's but it's not fun.
No, makes
That's
you
like the
sick.
type yeah, it makes you sick. You want to get off, but it just keeps going. And there's like 2 loop-de-loops ahead, but you don't know.
This movie is never gonna be officially released, but I think it might be.
It's gonna get leaked at some point.
It's gonna be the same thing at like there was a Fantastic Four movie from the '90s, that was made so Fox could keep the rights, but they never released it. But eventually somebody found the footage and like made bootlegs of it and started selling it in like mom and pop shops and stuff like that. And this movie's not gonna get bootlegs, but it's gonna be on like
It's
illegal
gonna get leaked.
movie websites at some point.
Listen, in the
And
digital age, nothing is safe.
everyone's gonna see it, and there's gonna be some people who are like, I finished the special effects on Batgirl, so now you can watch it like this. And it's gonna happen eventually, and at that point I'll make a video on it. But as of now, it's dead. It's a
You're gonna have
dead
to
movie.
bring back the watch parties for that. When that
Yeah,
comes out.
honestly.
You're like, okay,
Honestly.
it's time to get the gang back together. Call up he who must not be named. Oh man.
Is there anything else you want to comment with all this DC news or anything like that?
I'm excited, and I'm happy to say that I'm excited because I've been excited for something like this in a long time.
Yeah, it feels good. Feels good.
Feels good to look forward to something that's actually going to happen. Because before, you had like the infamous slate from Comic-Con that one year that had at least twice as many projects. None of them got made besides like Shazam, and that was it.
It's so funny because like
But my question is, where's Black Adam 2?
oh, so The Rock said, I don't want to do it anymore. Do you believe that?
No.
Oh, sorry.
You're telling me that Dwayne is turning his back on us after he said that. Okay, no.
Hierarchy was not reset. Okay.
I have to take a minute. Liar.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Make me
Noah
upset.
Centineo isn't coming back either. I'm
No.
really sorry.
I
I'm really
need
sorry.
more of that child actor that they had narrating the whole movie. I want him to narrate the Bible. Like, oh, come on. All right, no. Like, I try not to. Dogging on child actors is not cool. And that's where I'll leave that.
Okay, I thought you were gonna keep going. But
No.
all right, yeah, just leave it there. It's a good choice.
Yeah.
So we can wrap it up pretty much, but I want to wrap up. I like to wrap up this podcast with just letting people know what you've been watching or reading, anything like that. And you could talk about it. Just let them know, recommend something, anything like that. So if you've been reading or watching anything recently, I know you mentioned True Detective and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, True Detective season 1, fantastic. I watched the second season. If you really like season 1, watch the second season. It's an anthology, so it's a different show for every season. But if you really like the first season, expect something different for the next season. Obviously, I've been rewatching the Clone Wars recently and
Mm.
the prequels because I've been doing a Star Wars binge for Mandalorian, and
And you're putting together your cuts, your better
yeah.
cuts.
Well, I don't know if I would say they're better, but they're just more like it's more like condensing things down for the sake of like a binge, you know. So because every minute matters when you're binging things. So yeah, that's what I'm watching.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I rewatched
Talk about
Invincible
my cuts on the
recently.
next podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. I rewatched Invincible season 1 recently with all that news about season 2 and such, and I don't know, man, it's good. There's no like rose-colored lenses with that show. It's just a solid show. The only thing they can improve upon is the animation, and it looks like they did for season 2. So I'm just excited, man. Season 2 is going to be great. Okay, so we had some technical difficulties and I lost Ben for a little bit, but I'm just going to wrap this up because we were towards the end of the episode. Thank you guys for listening. It was really fun having a guest on, so I hope to have more in the future and bring Ben back. I hope you enjoyed our predictions and everything about the DC Universe. Overall, I'm super excited for this universe. I think it's going to be really good, and it's a real breath of fresh air to be excited for the DC Universe again. So thank you guys for listening. Remember to follow me on my personal socials at BrandonMYT on everything. BrandNDNMYT. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything like that. And then follow the podcast on Instagram and on Twitter at GoodForNothingPod. Thank you, and remember to like, comment, subscribe. Oh, also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, don't do any of that because it's Spotify. So, yeah, sorry. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.